Hello friends and family. I'm Tom. My wife Melissa is our videographer and she's behind the camera. And this is our cooking channel, Come Sit at My Table. We're so happy you've come to watch our video today. We are going to make Southern cornbread. This is just a plain cornbread that you would make for any day, but I'm making it today because I need it for a dressing recipe that I'm going to make for Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving week, and so I'm getting ready to make dressing, and in order to make dressing, you have to have good Southern cornbread. So that's what we're making today. Before we get started, I'm going to ask you for a favor. If you would, go down below the video and click the subscribe button, and over on the other side and click the thumbs up like button. That helps us build our channel. We sure would appreciate it if you'd do that for us. And I want to remind you that if you go right under this video where you see the title of our video, the name of the recipe we're making, and you click on that recipe title, it will open a box that will show you the recipe that I'm using today. Melissa will type that out for you so you can have the written recipe. All right, let's get started. To make my Southern cornbread, you need a skillet or a pan. Now I make mine in just like a 9-inch cast iron skillet, but if you don't have a cast iron skillet, you are welcome to use just like an 8-inch square baking dish or a 9-inch square baking dish, and it will work fine. It will be perfectly all right. You should have some bacon grease. This is not necessary. You can just, if you're using, especially if you're using like an 8 or 9-inch square baking dish, you can just spray it with Pam or some other nonstick spray. But I will tell you that using some bacon grease in the bottom of your pan gives it a really good flavor. Most Southern cooks keep a jar or 4 of bacon grease in their refrigerator. I have 4 jars in mine. So you'll see what we do with this in just a few minutes. The ingredients you're going to need for Southern cornbread are melted butter, and that's 1 stick, it's half a cup, 2 eggs, 1 cup of buttermilk, and I use whole buttermilk. I don't like that low fat or non-fat stuff. It just doesn't have much flavor to it. So whole buttermilk. You're going to need just a little bit of baking soda. You're going to need 1 cup of self-rising cornmeal. You don't want just a regular cornmeal. You want a little bit of self-rising cornmeal in it. That helps it puff up a little bit. A cup of all-purpose flour, so just 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and then half a teaspoon of salt. It's a pretty simple recipe. Now, the first thing we need to do is get some bacon grease in our pan. And no matter if you're using a cast iron skillet or just a baking dish, you can still use bacon grease. Now, there's going to be more bacon grease in here than what we need just to coat this skillet. And that's okay. It's going to puddle some, and you'll see what happens when we pour our batter into this skillet after a while. But it's okay to have extra. So I'm just going to stick this in the oven. Our oven's already heated, so I'm going to stick it in there to let that bacon grease melt while we are mixing up our cornbread batter. So we're going to start by putting our butter in our mixing bowl. And you know, you could use an electric mixer if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to. This just comes together really, really fast and easy. So put your butter in. That's 1 stick or half a cup. And then you're just going to add your eggs. Let me move this so you can see. I try to always break my eggs 1 at a time in a separate bowl, because you never know if you're going to get a bad egg or get a piece of shell in it. So I always try to do that. Oh, look, we got a double yolk. Is that supposed to be good luck or something?
We'll take it.
Absolutely. So crack your 2 eggs in, and then just whisk those up a little bit. Break up your eggs, whisk that together with your butter. Just get that mixed up, okay? Get rid of those. The next thing we're gonna do is add 1 cup of buttermilk. Make sure you always shake your buttermilk. Buttermilk has a tendency to kind of settle. Creamy part rises to the top sometimes, so you just want to kind of shake that up and mix it up good. So 1 cup of buttermilk, in it goes. Set that over to the side. And you know, if you put things away as you go, then you don't have a mess when you're finished cooking. Now, I know this sounds kind of ridiculous, but all you're going to need is half a teaspoon of baking soda. It's not very much, but you've already got self-rising cornmeal, so you don't need much. You just need a little bit, just to give it that extra rise. And the next thing is, let's mix that up just a little bit. Get that buttermilk and baking soda mixed in. And that has already thickened that mixture. Putting that buttermilk and baking soda in thickened it. Now in goes our cornmeal and our 1 cup of all-purpose flour. And we're gonna stir those together. You know, sometimes you'll mix it up and it'll be just a little too thick. It really depends on your flour and your cornmeal. And if it's too thick, throw a little extra buttermilk in there. And then half teaspoon of salt. Now that was pretty easy, wasn't it? And you know what? I think it is a little too thick. So, buttermilk, put just a little bit in there. Just another tablespoon or so. Loosen it up some. Yeah, I think I'm going to go for another tablespoon. You'll just have to kind of judge it when you make it. Usually 1 cup of buttermilk does it. That's better. But sometimes you need a little more. And use a spatula to scrape that out because we don't want to waste any of it. Get it all off that whisk. All right. Now let's check our pan and see if our baking grease has melted. And it has. Now, you can see that the bacon grease has melted. And what we need to do is tilt this and get some of that bacon grease around the side. That is to get it greased really well and keep our cornbread from sticking. So just gently, you sure don't want to spill this on you because it is scorching hot. Now just run it around. Now, I can hear people now when I do this say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you left all that grease in there. Well, believe it. When you put this in there, that grease is just gonna puddle up. Some of it will get on top of your cornbread mix, your batter. It'll be around the edges. And that's okay. It just makes a really good crust. Hasn't hurt a thing. In fact, I just read this week that the American Medical Association, the AMA, has removed all language from their publications condemning bacon because they have found it's not as bad for you as what they've told people for years and years and years. All right, so we have our cornbread mix in the skillet and back into the oven it goes. Our oven is preheated at 375 degrees and we're gonna bake it for 40 minutes. So let's put on 40 minutes and we will check it. Now, it may be done in 40 minutes, it may not be. It takes 40 to 50 minutes, but we will check it. When it is ready to come out of the oven, we will bring you back and I'll tell you exactly how long it was in there to get it done. We'll see you in just a little while. Well, we left the cornbread in the oven exactly 40 minutes and it is plenty done. I did take a toothpick and check the center and it came out clean, so we know it is done in the middle. Now, let me remind you that we made this cornbread not to eat by itself or with a meal, but this is for dressing that we're going to make for Thanksgiving dinner. So it's going to be crumbled up and mixed with other things to make dressing. So let's cut a piece, even though we made it for dressing, let's cut a piece and just see how it is. I am not somebody who eats cornbread with a lot of meals. Ooh, that is still steaming hot. Can you see that, Melissa?
Yes. Looks really good.
That is steaming hot. We don't do a lot of cornbread. We have it when we have like brown beans, pinto beans, something like that. But I know people who have cornbread for just about every meal. They have some cornbread with their meal every day. That's not us. We make cornbread when we need it for something else most of the time, to go with beans or to use to make dressing.
I like the crunchy edges of it.
Yes, and that's what the bacon grease does. It makes the edges crunchy, makes the top crunchy, and we kind of like that. So let's split this. See if we can get it split. And we'll put some butter in the middle. I mean, my goodness, you can't have cornbread without butter, right?
That's what I've heard.
Now, let me tell you that if we were making cornbread to eat, not for dressing, if we were just making it to eat, I would make sweet cornbread. I would add some sugar to the mix. When Melissa and I got married, I don't think you'd ever had sweet cornbread, had you?
Not really. We didn't grow up with sweet cornbread. And I like it both ways now, but I like it unsweet as well.
So the first time that I made sweet cornbread, put some sugar in the batter, I think she was a little shocked.
Not really a big fan initially, but
no,
it did
she
grow
said,
on me.
Is this cornbread or is this cake? And I was a little surprised because I had grown up with sweet cornbread. That's just what my mom and dad always made. So I was like, what do you mean, is it cake? It's cornbread. She said, but it's sweet like cake. Well, yeah. If you put sugar in it, it kind of is. But this is just plain old cornbread because you do not want sweet cornbread to make dressing with. If you use sweet cornbread for dressing, it's ruined. You can't eat the dressing. So don't use sweet cornbread for dressing. You want to bite this?
I'll have a bite in a little bit. Go ahead for the video and just take a bite.
Okay. It's hot, I know. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. That is so good. That is such good cornbread. Now, if I was going to make cornbread just to eat, I would have put sugar in it. But for dressing, that's perfect. And a lot of people don't like sugar in it. So if you don't like sugar in it, that's really perfect. All right. We sure do appreciate that you've watched our video. We would really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button if you've not already done that. And we'd appreciate if you'd go down and click the thumbs up just to say you liked our video. And more than anything, you could really help us grow our channel if you would share our page, share this video, go to our page and look at all of our other videos that we've made and share those. That would help us reach more people and get more subscribers. All right, if you're making dressing for Thanksgiving, here's your recipe. This is where you get your cornbread for your cornbread dressing. If you just like cornbread with a meal, there you go, plain old cornbread. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we sure do appreciate you watching. And remember, you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day.